I remember distinctly a conversation I had with Dr. Lakatsky during the early time when he was, I think, assessing me is probably what they were doing, see if I would be a good fit. And I remember him very distinctly at the end of the conversation. He pulled his glasses down and he looked over his glasses at me and he said, "What do you think about UFOs?" And I paused for a moment and I responded truthfully. I said, "I don't." And he said, "Well, do you not believe in them?" And I said, "No, I didn't say that. You asked me if I thought about what do I think about UFOs, and I said I don't. I don't have the luxury to think about them. I'm too busy, you know, trying to chase bad guys and make things work." And he said to me, he said, "Well, that's fair enough, but don't let your own personal bias get the best of you, because what you may learn here, may challenge any preconceived notions or narratives that you have." And that's really when I first learned what this program was about. We were getting multiple reports, a lot. I mean, a lot of reports of UAP. We call them UAP now, but in the vernacular, UFOs were being encountered over controlled U.S. airspace and theaters of combat, and were posing, in some cases, a flight safety risk to our pilots. Now, what do I mean by that? So, we have reports and videos, in some cases, of these UAP UFOs splitting a combat formation. Now, if you know what a combat formation is, these aircraft fly very close to each other in a combat scenario, right? So they're like this. When you have a UAP splitting the formation, that's problematic. Furthermore, we have countless reports of these things being encountered over controlled U.S. airspace, over sensitive military facilities and installations, and we had no idea where these things were from. The origin, we had no clue. Their performance characteristics were stunning. These were beyond next generation technology. These were things that could perform in ways that outperformed anything that we had in our inventory, and we were pretty sure outperformed anything that our adversaries had. We were getting these routine pleas, these cries from the field. In fact, I remember one email very specifically where one of the senior people in the fleet, a very senior officer, basically said, "Look, these things are all over the ship. I don't know what to tell you. I can't keep people below deck forever and keep this a secret. What do you want me to do?" We keep telling them, "Look, the cavalry's coming. We've got these plans in place to help you out." And every time we would want to get this briefed up to a higher level, we were being basically stovepiped and then cut off. We actually had at one point if you will, a trap set up to collect information on these UAP. I can only talk about it because I've now had approval by the Pentagon to talk about it. It has now been cleared for me to talk about it. But we had a plan to set up a real big nuclear footprint, something we knew would be irresistible for these UAP. And then once we started seeing these UAP, the trap would be sprung. Congress is being briefed fairly routinely by whistleblowers. Some of them have not been made public yet. New whistleblowers are ready to come out, provided they had the right legal protection. Oh, we were told by the people who had the material. I mean, it's kind of when they sit there and say, "Yeah, look, we're happy to have this conversation with you. There's some things that you're going to need to do if you want, more access to it. But yeah, we're happy to give this stuff to you." That's a big deal. That's kind of I'm careful what I say here, but that's a holy cow moment, right? But you could probably put some expletives in there if you wanted to. That's a seismic revelation. Then, of course, then you have the material science and analysis that's been done on some of this material, which, look, despite what some people say now, like, "Oh, well, this was a missile casing from the 1950s. I know for a fact, because I had a member, and I'm not going to say which company, but let's just say one of the most elite aerospace corporations in the world do analysis on it. And I can tell you that what they came to a conclusion with, and after they actually was able to manufacture at a macro, very crude level, at over $1 million and broke the machine in the process, we know conclusively this was not technology that was manufactured in the 1950s by some sort of missile company. Look, if you look at it temporally and say, well, maybe the Russians have that technology now. Okay, sure. Let's suspend reality and say they do. But they didn't in the late 1940s. And so that would be like walking into King Tut's tomb and, Carter finding a fully assembled 747. I think it's pretty clear that when you first see Trump being asked about the topic, he said, "Yeah, I don't particularly believe it." But interestingly, the next time he was asked, he's like, "Hey, there's something there. There's something to it, right? There were some very peculiar incidents that occurred simultaneously while I was involved in the ATIP portfolio. And I'll tell you, it wasn't just me. A lot of the folks in ATIP experienced very similar things. It was witnessed by friends, neighbors. Uh, what the connection is, I can't tell you for sure. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. And But we experienced, my family, my kids, my wife, some neighbors saw these green little diffuse balls of light, luminous balls of light. Think of a like a think of a volleyball, but without hard edges, right? Floating through the house. Uh, you can call them an orb, I guess. You can call them, maybe some sort of drone or remote operated vehicle. I've never seen anything like it. But like, I guess some people describe it as like ball lightning, maybe. But a diffuse green orb ball just hover right down the hall and disappear right through a wall. Um, what, if any, the connection is to the UAP? I don't know. I'm just reporting it in the book so people know, right? If you're going to be transparent, you got to be as transparent as you can to include even in your own life, and even if it makes you look kind of crazy, that's what happened. If it was just me, maybe I wouldn't have written about it. But the fact that it happened to other colleagues of mine that were in ATIP, um, I wanted to share that experience. And again, is there a congruency? Is there a relationship between the two? I don't know. Some people speculate that there is. Maybe it's a small reconnaissance drone or UAP that's they're interested in our weapon systems. Well, they're obviously interested maybe in the people who are looking into them. I don't know. I can't. I don't want to speculate too much because I simply don't have enough information or data. I have my opinion, but at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't really matter. If it was just me that saw these things, I probably again wouldn't have said anything. But the fact is, my whole family saw them. Um, and other members in ATIP experience this same thing as well. So, um, what the relationship is, I absolutely could not tell you, but it was very perplexing.